What is up, everybody? I'm No Lex Given, and today I'm gonna be doing a sort of update video. Firstly, the Gambit game is returning. This is huge news. A lot of you probably already know what the Gambit game is. And for those that don't, this might seem kind of like clickbait. The Gambit game has nothing to do with Marvel Snap, but it is really exciting. So I'm going to explain it real quick for those that aren't familiar yet. I'll also maybe throw some Marvel Snap up on the screen to keep people entertained, and I've also got Lily here. Gambit Game is a reality competition show, similar to that of Survivor or Big Brother, but it all takes place right here on YouTube, and instead of players being eliminated through voting, like in those other shows I just named, each round, all of the players compete in a variety of different games made specifically for the show that no one has ever seen before, and players, based on their performance, will either get safety or be up for elimination. I competed in the Gambit game actually about 3 years ago at this point, and the production team has been editing together these episodes and slowly releasing them over time in kind of chunks. So far, the first 8 episodes are already out on the Gambit Game's YouTube channel, and now they are about to release the final 3. I don't want to spoil my personal placement in the Gambit game, but I'll just say that if you enjoy me, it's probably worth watching. One player gets eliminated each week throughout the 8 episodes. It starts with 11 contestants, and currently we are down to the final 4. The games test a variety of different things. It's largely social, like Big Brother and Survivor, as I think most things like this tend to boil down to, but there's other ways to gain advantages if you're really good at puzzles or really good at math or just really good at figuring out complex games quicker than the other competitors. And of course, lying, that's a huge part of the game, and trying to predict what other people are going to do based off the information that you have. And that's why I love it, of course. It's also part of the reason that I love Marvel Snap. So there is some overlap there if you are interested in Marvel Snap for the ability to figure out what your opponents are doing and bluff them and try to get into your opponent's heads while also coming up with some unique gameplay. Then I think the Gambit game might be something you have fun watching. The important thing here is that the Gambit game does not get broadcast on my YouTube channel. There is a separate YouTube channel for Gambit Game. I'll leave a link for that in the video description. And also in the video description, I'm going to leave a link for a player survey for the final 4 players remaining in the Gambit game. I've done this all season long. I haven't actually published any of these stats that I've collected, but I have been collecting a whole bunch of stats, asking people how they feel about the remaining contestants after each episode. So if you voted in those before, a long time ago, then you'll already know what I'm talking about. I do create content for the Gambit game as well, and that's what the rest of this video is going to talk about, some other content coming up on the channel. But my plan with Gambit Game content was to create 2 videos for each episode. Do like a breakdown of everything that you didn't see, everything, like all of my thoughts on the games that didn't make the cut in the episode, and then also an interview with whichever contestant gets eliminated that week. And I was doing this content previously when Gambit Game first started premiering, and I've got 2 of each of those episodes, 2 breakdowns and then 2 exit interviews. And I actually did film the breakdown and the exit interview for episode 3 as well. There were just some other things that came up, so right when that was happening, Storybook Brawl announced that it was shutting down. If you're not familiar with Storybook Brawl, it was my favorite game in like a long time, and I used to put out daily content for that game until it was shut down because cryptocurrency is a scam. So partially it was Storybook Brawl shutting down, and then also I got a dog. I got Lily. At basically that same time, and I just started to shift more of my focus onto training her and giving her more of my love and attention. and creating content for Gambit Game kind of fell by the wayside. Like I said, I actually did film the episode 3 content. I just never edited it or uploaded it because I kind of just had other things going on in my life. So we're gonna get back on track by uploading that. I'm gonna make sure that it's still up to my standards. I wanna make sure that there's like no reason that I didn't release it a year ago, but I will see if that's good enough, / maybe re-record it and start to produce more content for the Gambit Game as we ramp into the finale. And even if I wind up like not getting everything out by the finale, I'll still continue to produce Gambit Game content because I thought it was one of the coolest things that I ever did, and I definitely want to share all of the fun experiences that I had throughout that. I also want to share my thoughts on some other experiences, and I've kind of talked about this in the past before, but one of the reasons that I like to create content is it makes me feel like I'm being more productive when I do things that I like to do. So I really like playing video games, and by creating content around video games, I feel more productive when I'm just kind of messing around and playing games. And I was thinking one other thing that I really like, and I think could also add an interesting commentary over, are these competition reality TV series. And now I also have the ability to add in my own personal experience and weigh in as at least having some experience doing it myself. And they're also just something that I can talk a lot about and I have a lot of passion for. I did try this previously with the Genius the Netherlands, and that one was kind of awkward just because we shot Gambit Game, and then in the time where I was waiting for it to release, I did coverage for the Genius the Netherlands without actually being able to talk about Gambit Game, whereas now I can at least talk about the Gambit Game. The other awkward thing, of course, is that while I was producing those weekly videos for the Genius the Netherlands, I had a heart attack. For those that aren't already familiar with that part of my story, about a year and a half ago at this point, I had a heart attack. It's part of the reason why I got the dog as well. And so that also put a stop to that's right, I'm talking about you, sweetie. And that put a stop to the Genius the Netherlands content, but it was always something that I wanted to do more of. Now that content specifically was kind of for me a way to like lead me into doing content for Gambit Game, which I think is also part of the reason that the Gambit Game content was a little bit delayed. Just, you know, wasn't fully like ready to give it my all. But I think now I'm feeling a lot better, and I want to start doing not only more Gambit Game content, but more content for other game series as they come out. Maybe I'll touch a little bit on some of those established ones like Survivor and Big Brother, but also like Deal or No Deal Island just came out this week, a brand new show on the first season, and I think that would be fun to talk about. Just like weird, wacky shows and my thoughts on the different strategies that you could employ behind them. Survivor, there's 20 plus years of people talking about the strategy behind it, but Deal or No Deal Island, I feel like I could make my mark and just talk about new strategies as the kind of game develops and as we all kind of learn about it. So I think that will be fun and definitely something that I'm looking forward to talking about. In addition to all of that content, I did also want to talk about auto battlers, which I think are still my favorite genre of games. I was really in love with Storybook Brawl, and I played Hearthstone Battlegrounds for a while as well. Not as enamored with the newest season, but there are some other auto battlers releasing this year. We had at the very end of last year Fairy Tale Fables come out, and honestly, it was so similar to Storybook Brawl, but in a way that kind of lacked like the charm that I fell in love with Storybook Brawl. That kind of just made me not feel super great about playing it, and I did play it like a little bit, but it wasn't something that I'm like super hot on. We'll see. I'll probably visit it from time to time. I do also just want to like add more varieties of different types of content to the channel just to kind of mix it up. And I should say, I probably should have said this earlier on in the video, Marvel Snap isn't going anywhere for me. I do not personally feel any type of way. I'm pretty quiet about like, I don't want to say like controversies in Marvel Snap, but just like the economy or my different opinions on Marvel Snap. I really like it. I think that the game definitely has some problems, mostly in terms of collection acquisition and weird things around the game that surrounds the game, but I've said this plenty of times, I'm free to play. I generally don't have much problem maintaining a collection in the game while being free to play. So I don't really have any complaints on all of that side of the game. But I bring that up to say Marvel Snap content I don't think is going anywhere. I'm still having a lot of fun playing the game. The trick with Marvel Snap for me, I feel like it might just be a better streamed game than it is a game that YouTube content can be created for. The problem that I've had since the release of Marvel Snap really is that the game updates so frequently that by the time I am able to create content around some type of topic or some deck or whatever, the game has moved on. There's an OTA, there's a new card release, there's a new featured location. And that is just a very, it's fun when you're playing it because there's something new when you log in every single day. But yeah, I've just found it difficult to create content around it for the past, year and a half or so, but I'm still definitely having fun playing it. So I won't say that that content is like going away. I'm just not sure. I still haven't figured it out, and the game's been out for like 2 years at this point, and I'm still not exactly sure how to create content around it. So take that for what you will. But there are other games coming out this year. There is Backpack Battles, there is The Bazaar, and there is Once Upon a Spaceship, I think they might be calling it, which is basically from the team that formerly was Good Luck Games that created Storybook Brawl. So all three of those things seem kind of interesting. Backpack Battles, it's just an embarrassing, like, awkward situation, but I saw the game. I was like, oh, this is really cool. I actually think I got sick. And by the time I had gotten better, everyone and their mom had covered Backpack Battles. And then I was like, okay, well, I don't want to be like jumping on the bandwagon because now I feel like I'm late to cover it. So I just haven't tried it, but the game officially releases later this week. So I have not even played the game yet. I've loaded it up, I've downloaded it, but I've not even played a single game where the tutorial, I get it, I know what's happening in the game, but I don't actually know the mechanics behind it. I just understand you drag things from the right side of this, well, this is mirrored. You drag things from the right side of the screen. We're flipped here in the camera. From the right side of the screen to the left, and you kind of have spaces that you need to put them in, which I think might be kind of similar to what we'll see in the Bazaar as well. But I'm definitely I'm excited about all of those games to come, and I also partially don't want to box myself in with Marvel Snap content only, and I also have a wee bit of a confession to make. So I fell in love with Storybook Brawl, and I would say that it almost reignited my love for gaming, because for a while I was just playing Pokemon Go, which ain't really a game. I've now fully stopped playing Pokemon Go and am only playing, real games. I do think that Pokemon Go can still be fun. It's a lot of time that you have to put into it to like stay invested. They're always putting out new moves and things like that. People that have been following the channel for a while know that I was very big into Pokemon Go. Potentially was the most into Pokemon Go that any other person was, as I was writing articles for Game Press on the subject pre-pandemic time, in like up to, I probably wrote some in 2020 as well. But why am I bringing that up? Because Storybook Brawl made me really get into YouTube because it was just like so much fun and I was having a blast playing it. And that allowed me to then get into creating daily YouTube content. I will say part of the reason that I was also creating daily YouTube content is to build an audience that I could then direct to the Gambit game once that came out. And really, I just think that the Gambit game is the pinnacle of everything that I brought up, like the fondness that I had for Storybook Brawl and Fairy Tale Fables, not being able to capture that necessarily. Gambit Game, I have a previous video called Gambit Game like ruined all other gaming for me or something like that, because it was the most fun that I've ever had doing anything. Like I really, it was just like so exhilarating, brought out so much adrenaline, and also challenged me in such fantastic ways and allowed me to like live out this fantasy of being able to participate in these reality competition games that I just hold so close, that I've held so close for 20 years now at this point. So I hope that you will all enjoy the Gambit game too. If somehow you're still watching this and aren't already familiar with it, please go check it out, because like I said, it was one of the coolest things that I've ever gotten to do, and I think you'll have fun watching it and experiencing it as well. One other thing that I was also kind of just reminded of in thinking about just games that I like, trying to do maybe not the exact same thing as the Gambit game, but social deduction games. I really, really like social deduction games, and I had a blast playing some of those during the pandemic as well. Among Us got super popular, and I'd maybe like to try to dip my toes into that. It's again like, I feel like that time has kind of passed, but I've seen like a little bit of a resurgence of Blood on the Clock Tower. I have like an old game of Blood on the Clock Tower saved that I might edit up and put on the channel, and if people are interested in that, it's kind of like Gambit Game adjacent content, but it's just like the style of game that I really, really enjoy playing. So I'm going to try to look for some more content and some more games like that to play. At the very least, I want to play some more with my friends. So that is basically all I have to say with this video. A little bit of like an update for some stuff that's on the channel, just kind of some ideas that I want to get out there, and a little bit just to say check out the Gambit game and check out the power rankings if you are already caught up on the Gambit game, so that you can weigh in and let your voice be heard. But that's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'm No Lex Given. Peace.